All right. So this afternoon we will see again the death process and what is connected with dying and rebirth in Tibetan Buddhism. If there are very few things that we can be sure in our existence, death is without any doubt one of them, because it is for everybody an experience that we will have to go through at one moment. So it is important to know a little bit more about it, how it happens, what can we do also out of it. Death is often a taboo subject because there are even some beliefs saying that speaking about death is bringing bad luck, or is something that if we talk about, we can experience it sooner, and so on, which obviously is not correct, because our time of death is connected with the karmic causes we have accumulated, and not with the fact of talking about it or not. I think death is a taboo in the West because there is a misunderstanding about it. There is an absence of knowledge connected with it. And for many people, not believing in reincarnation or not understanding reincarnation and karma, they tend to believe that death is the end of everything, at least as we know it. We have a slightly different perspective, of course, with Buddhism, understanding better the process of life, the process of where we come from, and the understanding of where we are heading to after this existence, after we end this existence. Death is, on another hand, a process which not necessarily wished by higher tantric practitioner is welcome, at least because during the process of death, during the process of dying, we will have at some point to face the most subtle aspect of our consciousness, what we call a clear light. And if we recognize this clear light for what it is, meaning the most subtle aspect of our mind and the non-conceptual state, one can actually meditate in front of it, and the fruit of such meditation is the realization of emptiness, the realization of the true nature of all phenomena. And for who would realize actually emptiness during the process of dying, if not before, one would be liberated from the law of causality, which bound us to the samsara. In other words, the practitioner would be free from the samsara, and his becoming will differ from a normal process, which normally would lead somebody to take a subtle body in the state of bardo, intermediary state between a life and another. Whereas somebody who would have highest realizations would not enter into the bardo, but would be able to go to some pure lands to receive some teachings from higher bodhisattvas or Buddhas. So we can see that death is not the end of everything, because there is a process of rebirth. And if transformed, it can lead to greater realizations, high realization. The clear light that we experience during death is called the clear light of the mother clear light, because it's an experience which is intense and very deep, because through the process a lot of things will be dissolved completely. Whereas the clear light which is experienced during one's lifetime by a higher practitioner is called the daughter clear light, because there is definitely a realization of the clear light, but not as deep as it can be during the death process. Now, while we are entering into the death process, we will start to experience some dissolution, the dissolution of the elements we are made of. And as our elements will dissolve, also the thoughts will dissolve, a certain amount of gross level of thinking up to the more subtle level of thinking, up to the clear light. So the first element that will start to develop is the element earth. And according to each element, the consciousness of the person going through these dissolutions will experience different visions, a sequence of visions. And also outside, we have the possibility, when we observe somebody who is entering the process of dying, we have the possibility to see at which state the person is, according to some signs we can recognize on the physical form. The first element, earth, dissolving, the person has the feeling of like sinking into the bed, so a little feeling of heaviness usually. Cannot move anymore, because the earth is also the motion and the physical movement. This physical movement will cease to be possible. The person inside will have the vision of mirage. The vision of mirage is compared to what we see on hot roads in the summertime. When you see a road afar and there is a sun on it, you have this water-ish, silver-ish vision, which is a mirage, because of course there is no water on the road, but it looks like there is. But this is a little bit the vision that the person who is dying starts to see at the moment the element earth is dissolving. Now, of course, from the outside, we see that the person cannot move. The motion is slowed down. The eyes will not blink anymore. And when the element is completely dissolved, we can observe that the black part of the eyes is totally open and fixed. So it is not reactive anymore to the light. The second element which dissolve is the element water. When the element water disappears, the consciousness has a vision of clouds or smoke. From the outside, we can see that everything which usually is a little bit wet, like the eyes, the mouth, are drying out. The water disappears. As these elements are dissolving, the consciousness has more and more difficulty to remember what needs to be done, what is the aim of anything. what is our mission or what is our will. Thus, from a practical point of view, from a practice point of view, we would say that it is important to do what needs to be done as soon as the first sign of death appear. The visualization we would like to do, the mantra recitation we would like to do, the practice eventually, if we are connected with some specific practices, and especially some practices that need to be done at the time of death, they have to be started immediately. As the death process will progress, we will have more and more difficulty to remember or to engage into any action of body, of course, but also of mind. The next element which dissolve is the element fire. With the element of fire dissolving, we see that the body of the dying person is getting colder, starting from the extremity and going in the direction of the heart. The consciousness itself experienced a vision of sparks. Sparks like when you have a fire, wood fire, and you kick the wood, you have the emission of a lot of little sparks. So this is the vision that is perceived from the inside. On the outside, as we said, the temperature will start to decrease. The breath, the breathing, and the heartbeat will start to be irregular. As the element completely dissolves, the breathing will completely cease. So at the beginning of the next element, which is the element air, the breath will have stopped, the heat will have reduced to its minimum, starting from the extremity. The next element, though, the element air dissolving, it's the heart which will stop. And the vision which is experienced from inside is the vision of the end of a candle. So you see when a candle has lost all the wax, there is a little flickering flame which starts to move a little bit, and you see that it will stop. So this is the vision that the consciousness experiences. At that moment, we can see that all the gross thoughts or gross consciousnesses are dissolved, and there is no way somebody will remember the necessity to do anything. All what needed to be done had to be done before. After this dissolution of the element air, the consciousness is still inside. The consciousness has not left yet the body which is getting cold, which has the pupils which are completely dilated and not moving. The breath stopped, the heart stopped. So we could say that clinically the person is really dead. Yet the consciousness has not finished its journey in this body. There are 3 further steps the consciousness will have to go through. The next step is called the white vision. The white vision is compared to a night without any clouds by a full moon day. So it is not the kind of white like a bright light. It is more like a milkish white, the consciousness experiences this white vision. The next vision is called the red vision. It is compared with an evening, the end of the day, when the next day will be windy. The horizon is reddish and the whole sky is reddish. Without also any clouds, nothing, is just a red vision. The next vision is actually an absence of vision. We call this the black vision, but it is the absence of anything. It is like fainting. It's a blackout. We call this also the vision of near obtention. Why? Because actually this black appearance will end by entering or facing the clear light. And the consciousness is still inside, actually, till the clear light. The consciousness is in the heart level, at the heart level, in the heart chakra, in the center of the heart chakra. So the consciousness now faces the clear light. Everything has dissolved. There is no obstacle, thoughts, visions. There is nothing. There is just the clear light, a non-conceptual state of mind. For an ordinary being, this vision is a little bit scary. Not that we can really connect it with anything because it is a non-conceptual state, but there is the sense of dissolving, of not existing. And for a split of a second, that state is a little bit scary. Bring a kind of little fear. And actually that little fear marks the end of the clear light. And coming out of the clear light, the consciousness will enter the bardo period between one life and another, one existence and another. At the moment the consciousness is coming out of the clear light, the consciousness is leaving the body, physical body, dead body, and will enter a bardo body, a subtle body, like a ghost body or like a dream body. It is nearly of the same nature, subtle. And the consciousness will have the 8 visions, starting by the black appearance and the red and the white and so on. We'll have all the 8 till awaking somehow within the bardo body. So now the consciousness, has left the body. There are signs that we can observe, not all the times, but often, when the consciousness is leaving the body, which is a little bit of red liquid from the nostril and a little bit of whitish liquid coming out of the genitals. So it does not appear all the time, but I could observe it. So it is observable. We will see actually later on why these visions, the last visions, and why this little liquid is exiting the body. So now the consciousness has entered the bardo body, and starts to have different visions. The visions will be according to the karma created by the consciousness. They can be very multiple. So I will not try to describe them. We can find some descriptions in the Bardo Todo, the book which describes really the death process of somebody entering to the Bardo. There are some pleasant visions. There can be some very unpleasant visions, scary. It is like a dream in many ways, and we can have some pleasant dream with nice visions, and we can have terrifying dreams or nightmare. The bardo is the same. The consciousness will, from now on, move towards the next rebirth. We'll look for the next rebirth. We say that the consciousness is brought here or there by the wind of the karma. According to the causes we have accumulated, we are seeking now for the next place we will take rebirth into. This process tends to be a little bit longer when there is a physical form, like for humans and animals. For the other type of rebirth, it is shorter, and it is as short as instantaneous for those who will take rebirth in the God realms or in the hell. So now we could speak briefly about the samsara, review the samsara for those who know already about it. We describe the samsara as a wheel divided in 3 upper realms and 3 lower realms. The 3 upper realms are the human realms, the God realms, and the demigod realms. The human realms, we know about it. The God realms and the demigod, a little bit less, but for who knows a little bit about the Greek mythology, has usually a good understanding of how it is described also in the Tibetan texts. We have the tendency, nevertheless, to think in the West that paradise and God realms are a good type of rebirth because everything is pleasant. And indeed, everything is pleasant. It is the result of a lot of good karma accumulated in one's life, good karma which were not dedicated to a specific spiritual path. So we have done a lot of good, we have created a lot of good causes which give result for us to be reborn in the God realm and having a life of pleasure without knowing sickness, without knowing pain, mostly. It can happen though, but if the God maintain a positive state of mind during his God existence, he will not suffer. The demigod realm is identical to the God realm, except that the demigod have kept a very strong jealousy as a dominant state of mind. And this jealousy somehow spoils their happiness or spoils their pleasure because they look at the gods and they believe that the gods have more than them, that they, demigod, have less. Thus, by jealousy, they are often fighting against the gods. If they would realize the truth, they would see they have the same state of existence and there is absolutely no need to be jealous and fight against them. But if they have done a lot of good in their past existence or existences, they have generated and kept this jealousy as a strong tendency. A god's life is very long. For them, for some of the gods, a finger snap is a human life. They can really live aeons and aeons, which I believe gave to some of them the feeling that they have preceded some worlds. So they have seen some worlds to develop and take place, and maybe some of them thought that they even influenced the appearance of life on some planet or in some universe, which led some of these gods to think they have created these worlds, and probably these gods have had some interactions with the human realm, Like in the Greek mythology, sometimes the gods have interfered or have connected or interconnected with human realms, explaining to the humans that they have created them, that they are far superior to them, and so on. In some way, it is true. The gods are more powerful. They have some clairvoyance. They have some powers that the humans usually do not have. Yet, this god realm or demigod realms is impermanent. When the causes which have led a consciousness to take rebirth in the god realm will end, the consciousness will have to follow the karmic consequences of previously accumulated causes. In other words, they might have burned all the good karma they have by this luxurious and very pleasant, pleasurable existence, but some past accumulated causes which did not manifest because they were in the god realms will now resurface and will decide of the next rebirth. It is said that 7 days before the end of his life, the god will see where he will reborn. The rebirth can also be in animal realms in some cases. So the vision of to take rebirth as a pig or as an ant somewhere might be quite terrifying. Furthermore, the body of the god, which was till now perfect, like goldish and smelling perfectly good and so on, will start to decay. So over the period of 7 days, all the other god will exclude the dying god because they feel disgusted by this appearance. The god will be quite lonely and he has no chance to change his karma before to pass away from this existence and go to the next rebirth. So, contrary to what we might think, taking rebirth as a god is not necessarily a good thing. It's pleasant for a time, but if we do not engage in doing good and maintaining or continue to create some good causes, when that existence will end, the past negative karma will take their toll. There are some gods who, of course, realize their state and want to do good, and some gods will also try to do good for human or for other realms. These gods might have another fate when their life will come to an end. So, now there are 3 lower realms. One of them which we are in contact with, which is the animal realm, and 2 other we are less in contact with. One is the spirit realm, or the ghost realm, or the hungry ghost realm, as it is called, and the hell realm, or realms, because we talk about cold hell or hot hell, and within each of them there are 8 levels according to the negativity which was created by the being and the suffering which will be experienced by these beings. The ghost realm, sometimes we can be in contact with, because there are places where some ghost can be seen or can be perceived. And there are some techniques or some practices which allow to be in contact with some of these spirits. It is not a good state of rebirth. It is confronted with a lot of ignorance, with a lot of suffering, a lot of nightmare type of existence. Some of these ghosts or some of these spirits will be connected with the human realm. Though the human will not see them, sometimes they can see the humans. And some of these ghosts will have their complete nightmare or their complete reality associated with the karma they have accumulated in past life. We say the hungry ghost because one of the dominant reason to be reborn as a ghost is greediness. And the ghosts experience often some situation where they would like strongly to get something, but they do not get it. We say that some of the ghosts see food or see water while they didn't eat or drink since long time, and instead of being able to seize the food or the drink, it transforms into something absolutely horrible. Which even if they would try to eat it, will cause great pain into their body, subtle body, but still experiencing the same thing as we do experience, for example, in dream. In the hell realm, the suffering is very difficult to describe and very difficult to understand for a human. Because in the human realm, when the pain or when the suffering is reaching a certain point, we lose consciousness or we die simply. But in the hell realm, we do not die. We will stay in the hell realm as long as we have created the causes to be there. And every single part of our hell body is experiencing and giving us pain. So if we have a drop of blood leaving us and falling on the iron, burning iron or whatever, this drop of blood will suffer, will give us a lot of suffering. So since we might lose a certain amount of blood and flesh and so on in these realms, the suffering is uncomparable with what we can experience as a human. One peripheral realm, so it is hell realm. So it is not really hell realm, but it is in between human realms and hell realm. Would be to burn alive. So when we would burn alive, it is a peripheral type of pain. So we can see that the level of suffering experienced in hell is incredible, hard to imagine. So these are the 6 realms of rebirth where a consciousness can move according to the karmic causes accumulated within one's life. So if we do good, if we do bad things by body, speech, or mind, we will be thrown by the karma into this rebirth after we leave one existence. So, as I said previously, if you have created the causes for hell realm or God realm, you will go immediately. It's not bound to family situation, the necessity to first reborn in an egg or in a womb or whatever. So you are reborn spontaneously in hell or spontaneously in God realms. Whereas for human being, it's a little bit more complex, animal as well. And it is a reason why it might take few days or sometime even few weeks before the consciousnesses find its next place of living. So during the bardo, the consciousness will go in one world, in another world, in one place, in another place. Nothing stops basically the consciousnesses. We said that consciousness can go through walls, through mountains, can travel a great distance through universe, searching for the most appropriate place to take rebirth. The bardo body is limited in the time. It is limited to 7 days, which means that if after 7 days the consciousness has not found the place of rebirth, there will be a little death with the 8 visions in one way, the 8 visions in the other way, taking another bardo body. This death process is very quick because we are not really losing a physical body. Then we enter the second bardo body, and we will continue our search for the place of rebirth which fits with the karmic causes we have accumulated. It's like a puzzle. Yes, there's a piece of puzzle which is moving and moving, searching for the puzzle where it will fit. There is the possibility to have a maximum of 7 bardo bodies, which means that we can spend 49 days maximum between one existence to another existence, no more. If we didn't find in the first week, it will be in the second or the third and so on, but it will not exceed the 7th week. There is no record of ordinary beings spending more than 49 days without taking rebirth in a realm or in a place of rebirth. So usually it is much shorter than 49 days, but it can be that long. This is why actually the whole bardo practices is done over 49 days. When somebody passes away and we ask prayer in a monastery, they will do prayer for 49 days. Now the dying process lasts usually, we say, the time of a meal. So not taking in consideration fast food and so on, what we tend to do nowadays, we consider the time of a meal being between 20 to 30 minutes. So between the moment the consciousness has engaged into the process of passing away and the entrance into the bardo, so the moment the consciousness will leave the body, it's about 20 to 30 minutes. This process will be shortened in case of destruction of the body, in accident where the body will be completely destroyed or burned or whatever. So the same vision will be experienced by the consciousness, but at a faster speed then. So now we have the consciousness which is in the bardo and find the place. So as animal or as a human, the consciousness will arrive in a place where a male and a female are getting ready to conceive. And the consciousness will, according to the type of feeling it will experience, take rebirth as a male or as a female, on the basis, of course, anyhow, of the karmic causes accumulated by this being. So we have a couple which will fertilize an egg, and the consciousness will come at this moment. We say that for an embryo to start to develop, there is the need of 3 elements: the father element, or father cell, the mother cell, and the consciousness. These 3 elements are necessary to start the life, and the life starts from that moment, for whatever it implies in terms of how we treat the embryo or how we treat a baby. The consciousness is present from the moment of conception. The place where the consciousness will enter the fertilized egg will become the heart chakra. The consciousness is bringing with it the blueprint somehow of the next body. And from that place, from that heart chakra, that first the energetic blueprint will start to develop. And following these energetic lines or meridians, the cells will start to develop as well. So at first, we have the central channel, which will grow, and from the central channel, the lateral channel, and all the other 72,000 channels which are composing our energetic body. And as the energetic body is complexifying, then also the cells will develop and will take their different function. So the heart will, I mean, some cells will become the heart, some cells will become the liver or the brain, and this and that, not by chance, but following the blueprint which came with the consciousness, which also explain why, though eventually the mother cells and the father cells were without any defect, the body could also have a defect or could have a problem or trouble to develop in this way or develop in that way, because it does not depend only on genetics, but it depends on karma. So according to the causes that we have accumulated, we will develop in this way or in that way. So of course also involved with genetics, but why we took rebirth within this genetic material, it is because we have accumulated the causes for. There is no mistake in what takes place. The karma is not something which is done without any reason. Everything we have created the causes of will give a result. There is no this or that result if we have not created the causes for it to happen. Over the few months which will follow, then the body will develop, of course, quicker if we took rebirth as an animal, and longer if we have taken rebirth as a human. Though I think the elephant are also very long, longer than the human growth. So this is how it takes place. I mentioned earlier about this little red liquid and whitish liquid, which are coming both at the end of the central channel. They are coming out because actually at the moment we took a rebirth, at the place which will become the heart chakra, where the consciousness, the subtle consciousness will reside for our entire existence. This subtle consciousness will be enclosed in a way by the energetic representation or result of this female energy and male energy represented by the white cells and the red cells. And from that moment, when the central channel developed, on the top of the central channel was the white cell. So the white cell will go up and the red cell will go down. Now, at the time of death, the 72,000 channels will dissolve. They will dissolve first into the two lateral channels. The two lateral channels will dissolve into the central channel, and the central channel itself will dissolve up to the subtle consciousness. What is happening at that time is that first the white cell will come down in the central channel in the direction of the subtle consciousness in the heart. This gives the white vision, and then where the white cell stops. The red cell, which is lower, will come up and up and up in the direction of the heart chakra. This will give the red vision. The two cells are above the subtle consciousness, will enclose the subtle consciousness. So at the time it encloses the subtle consciousness, it's the black vision or black appearance or near obtention moment. And these two cells will continue their way, one going up, one going down. At that moment, the consciousness is freed, will experience the clear light. And the red cell continue up and up and up, and will come out of the nostril, so giving this reddish liquid. The white liquid, the white drops will continue down and down and down, and will come out by the genital openings. Now, usually, I say we experience a little fear in front of the clear light, and we will enter into the bardo. But if during one's lifetime we have worked on these energetic processes, if we have worked on meditation on emptiness, meditation on the true nature of reality, and if we have had some experiences already during one's lifetime, when our consciousness will face the clear light, it will not experience fear, it will experience bliss, it will experience delight in a way. And instead of coming out as quick as possible from this non-conceptual state of mind, the consciousness will meditate, will enter into meditation on the clear light. And this meditation can last. We say it can last 3 days, 4 days, it can last up to 1 week or 2 weeks, according to the wish, actually, of the practitioner. Some practitioner can stay really 11, 12, 13, 14 days in meditation. And during this whole time, the heart level, the heart chakra, will remain warm, so it can be perceived by people outside, and the body will not decay at all. One of the case I had the fortune somehow to observe of my own was at the time Tulku Gyatso passed away, a great Lama who was living in Italy at the time and passed away in Italy. And there was the permission from the municipality that the body will be kept into the center at the condition, of course, to be checked regularly by a doctor and to be sure that there is no health issue or decomposition of the body. At their great surprise, there was no decay at all. And I'm not sure now, but I think Tulku Gyatso spent 11 days or 12 days in the what we call Tukdam, this meditation, post-mortem meditation. And during this whole time, the chest was warm and the body was not decaying. So it's not stories from books which look like fairy tales. It is an actual situation which can be experienced even nowadays when a great practitioner decides to meditate on the clear light. And these great beings, after meditating long on the clear light, which is a sign that they have realized emptiness, they are free, they are liberated from the samsara. So they are not bound to the wind of karma. Their consciousness will not enter the bardo and be pushed here and there to the next rebirth, but they will enter a blissful state. They will eventually take rebirth in a way, or move into a pure land, the pure land of Buddha, where they can continue to receive teachings, where they can continue to deepen their experience of emptiness. And they will decide when it is the best moment to come back and where to come back in order to benefit as many beings as possible. It is not just based on their own decision, but it is, of course, based also on the karmic causes created by all of us, by all the ordinary beings who are praying to receive teachings from these enlightened beings, or liberated beings at least. So if we have created the causes to meet one of these high lamas, high being, then they will take rebirth and we will be able to benefit from their teaching. Since their existence does not depend on whatever own causes they have accumulated. They are not bound to take a rebirth, but they reborn according to their wish and the karmic causes accumulated by the sentient beings. So this is about all. I think I have described the whole process of dying, bardo, and taking rebirth. I see if I did not forget anything. I don't think so. In any case, I think we have a question and answer tomorrow at the same time. So if there are any question that arise in your head or anything you think I forgot, or if I remember something in the meantime, then we will be able to go through tomorrow at a similar time. All right? So we will properly dedicate the merits connected with listening carefully a teaching and our good motivation. Always remember that the dedication of merits is a very important part of the practice. Yes, talking about karma, talking about the causality, it is very important to dedicate a good karma into a merit. This is something we tend to forget about, but a good karma, we have seen, leads to the experience of a pleasurable result, a pleasant rebirth, yes, but result. If we have a lot of good causes, then we can take rebirth in the God realm. Which, as we have seen, is not necessarily good because we can lose a lot of time and a lot of possibility to progress spiritually. So what we are aiming at in this existence is to progress spiritually, to progress on the path towards enlightenment so that we can benefit as many beings as possible. Thus, whenever we have accumulated a good causes, whenever we have accumulated a good karma, it is important to dedicate it. By dedicating these good causes, we save it in a way for our spiritual progress. We will not, from this good cause, we will not necessarily get a pleasant result, but we will get a result which can lead us to progress spiritually. As we know, sometimes our spiritual progress is passing through unpleasant situation or situation which at first sight is not pleasant. But if we look at them back after some time, we can see, if this didn't happen to me, I would not have done this. Maybe I would not have met this situation, this person, this place, and my spiritual progress would not be as it is now. How many people said that they engage into spiritual practice after accident, sickness, loss of very close or very dear people? So such situations are not pleasant. Yes, yet they can lead us to spiritual progress. These can be merits, the result of what we call the merits. Yes. So when we are on the Mahayana way, our goal is not necessarily to experience pleasure after pleasure, necessarily good things after good things. Our main concern is how I will progress spiritually as quick as possible so that I can benefit other sentient beings more efficiently. When you dedicate your marriage, when you say, it doesn't need to be a specific prayer, it can be out of your mind, when you say, when you think, may this positive action and this positive cause be dedicated for the sake of all sentient beings, what you are doing is you transform this good karma into a merit. One of the important consequence of doing so is that this merit will not be destroyed by the next moment of anger or negative mental factor. If you accumulate good causes, some good causes, and you get angry or pissed off or hateful against a situation or a person, you burn somehow, you destroy a lot of good karma, yes, but not merits. Merits are dedicated for the sake of all sentient beings. They are not dedicated for you, for your pleasure. They are dedicated for all sentient beings. Why? Because somehow the benefit of all sentient beings is that you reach enlightenment. If you reach enlightenment, you will be able to benefit all sentient beings. This is your motivation, this is your dedication, this is your purpose if you have stepped on the Mahayana path. This is also your responsibility as a wannabe bodhisattva or aspiring bodhisattva. So this is in brief why whatever you do good, immediately dedicate it for the sake of all sentient beings. Whatever. Don't wait to make a long puja, to make a long sadhana, long time of prostrations, retreat, or whatever. You do something good, you realize you have done something which is positive, dedicate it immediately for the sake of all sentient beings. Yes, that's why the dedication of merits, whenever possible, needs to be done. Right? So we will do it also